Most of us like to believe that the food on our plate is either clearly good or clearly bad, but what if some of the things you eat every week, maybe even every day, are quietly working against you in ways you've never been told, not because they're evil foods, but because the story around them is incomplete or outdated, and that's where it gets interesting, because food myths tend to stick around longer than facts, often passed down by parents, ads, or old health trends that sounded scientific at the time. So imagine sitting down to breakfast thinking you're doing something healthy, while your body is reacting in a completely different way beneath the surface, sending subtle signals you've learned to ignore, like fatigue, bloating, brain fog, or constant cravings. And this isn't about fear or guilt, it's about awareness, because once you understand what's actually happening inside your body, you can make smarter choices without giving up everything you enjoy. And to see how strange this can get, let's start with something almost everyone trusts: fruit juice, especially the kind labeled 100% natural, because for decades it was marketed as liquid fruit, a vitamin-rich gift in a glass. But when you strip fruit of its fiber and turn it into juice, you change how sugar behaves in your body, sending glucose into your bloodstream fast and hard, almost like soda, which can spike insulin and then crash your energy, leaving you hungry again. And historically, juice was a luxury, not a daily staple, something squeezed fresh and shared, not bottled and shipped worldwide. And your liver, which has to process that sugar, doesn't care whether it came from an orange or a candy bar, it still has to work overtime, especially when fiber is missing. And then there's white bread, another familiar comfort food that many people assume is harmless because it's simple and traditional. But modern white bread is very different from the bread your grandparents ate. Stripped of nutrients during processing and digested so quickly it acts almost like pure sugar, raising blood glucose and encouraging fat storage, which is why you can eat 2 sandwiches and still feel hungry an hour later. And this ties into an old misconception that feeling full means being nourished, when in reality your brain is looking for nutrients, not just volume. And speaking of brain signals, artificial sweeteners deserve attention, because they promise sweetness without calories. Which sounds like a perfect deal, but your brain and gut aren't so easily fooled. Studies suggest that sweet taste without energy can confuse appetite regulation, leading to stronger cravings later. And some people experience headaches or digestive issues because these compounds interact with gut bacteria in unexpected ways, which is fascinating when you realize your gut microbes play a role in mood, immunity, and even decision-making, making food less about willpower and more about biology. And then there's vegetable oils. Especially refined seed oils that became popular in the 20th century as a heart-healthy alternative to animal fats, yet these oils are often highly processed and rich in omega-6 fats, which, when consumed in excess, can promote inflammation. And inflammation is like a low-level fire in the body, not dramatic at first, but over time linked to joint pain, skin problems, and chronic disease. And historically humans consumed a more balanced ratio of fats, something modern diets have quietly shifted without most people noticing. And while we're talking about things that seem healthy, let's look at yogurt, particularly flavored varieties, which are often marketed as probiotic powerhouses, but many contain more sugar than a dessert, canceling out the benefits and feeding the very gut imbalances they're supposed to fix. And this plays into the psychology of health halos, where a food seems virtuous so we stop questioning it, eating more and paying less attention to how it makes us feel. And another surprising troublemaker is processed deli meat, which feels convenient and harmless tucked into a sandwich, but these meats often contain preservatives and high sodium levels that can stress the cardiovascular system. And historically meat was preserved through drying or fermenting, methods that changed its chemistry differently than modern additives. And then there's breakfast cereal, a food invented with good intentions but quickly transformed by marketing, often aimed at children, loaded with refined grains and sugar, training taste buds early to expect sweetness in the morning, which can set the tone for blood sugar swings all day. And this matters because how you start your day hormonally affects energy, focus, and cravings. And even something as classic as milk can be problematic for some people, not because it's inherently bad, but because many adults lack the enzymes to digest lactose efficiently, leading to bloating, inflammation, or fatigue they never connect to their morning latte. And culturally, milk consumption increased through agricultural shifts and advertising, not universal human biology. And then there's the humble potato, which has fed civilizations for centuries, yet when fried and refined into chips or fries, it becomes a rapidly digested starch paired with unhealthy fats and salt, hitting the brain's reward system hard, making it easy to overeat while barely noticing. And this brings us to the final surprising food: energy bars and protein snacks, often marketed as fitness-friendly, but many are essentially candy bars with better branding, spiking insulin and reinforcing the idea that constant snacking is necessary, when historically humans ate fewer meals and allowed insulin to fall between them, giving the body time to repair. And what ties all these foods together isn't that they're evil or forbidden, but that modern processing, marketing, and misunderstanding have changed how we relate to them, teaching us to trust labels more than our own bodies. And the real shift happens when you start noticing patterns, how certain foods make you feel an hour later, the next day, over weeks, because health isn't built on one perfect meal, it's shaped by small, repeated choices. And once you see through old myths and modern misconceptions, food stops being confusing and starts becoming a tool, not for perfection, but for better energy, clearer thinking, and a healthier relationship with eating itself.